Okay, so this is my first ever lasagna. Thank you for the basic bolognese, the ragu recipe, Sylvia, and thank you Vincenzo, and your reviews of Andy's video and one other fella. Between those four sources, I made this, and it's my first lasagna ever. But it's pretty good. I can't, I don't have a little lasagnas here to compare it to, but fresh pasta, basil was one of the contributions, fresh basil in there. It was my idea to use the panchetta and the lamb because that's what I had in the freezer. I went over to buy ground pork, and I thought I had it in the freezer, ground beef and ground pork. So I just got the ground beef. Came home, no ground pork in the freezer as I thought. Actually, it wasn't ground pork, it was going to be Norcia sausage. But I did have a lamb burger and pancetta. And it made a marvelous lasagna. And I used a suggestion of Vincenzo to have it the next day. I really wanted to cut it last night, but it was getting late. It took a couple hours to make the ragu and get the lasagna together and baked and everything. So it's a pretty big process, but it makes enough lasagna for, I don't know how many meals, maybe 9 meals. It's a square pan, you cut 3 pieces. So it's worth the time, and it's certainly worth the pleasure of it. Here's one of those little crispy noodles. Another Vincenzo edition. Those crispy ones around the edges are great. I always like in lasagna the pieces in the corner because they tend to get burnt a little bit more. If anything, it's going to be like a little bit burnt. Those are the pieces. The piece that comes out of the very center of the pan, they look perfect, but the only thing that's burnt is the cheese on the top maybe. And so this is kind of an interesting bite here because on the top layer, I ended up here layering this up with the lasagna noodles, and I had just enough room at the top of the pan. The way I cooked my pancetta, you'll see, I left it in whole strips. So I put sort of a layer of pancetta on the top. That's these. Wait a minute, I'm going to eat this bite. That's good. See, this is a piece of pancetta, which is, bacon in Italy. All right. Bon appetit. Okay, it's glazing time. I'm giving that a good, decent glass. Oh, that does smell pretty good. So I'm not so sure. I think a good red wine or, a red cooking wine would be good in here. I'm sure it would be. But that white does not smell too bad at all. A lot of nice aromas came up from the meat on that one. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more here and let that cook off a little bit. And sort of stir it into the bottom of the pan to release. That's the main idea here, is to get this kind of goodness off the pan. Get that wine up in there, it kind of brings those brownie bits down into it. Okay, got any more of that? Okay, there's a little spot down here. Yeah, just a little bit of the wood spatula on that would be okay. One fellow uses a rubber spatula, which I can see why now, because he's pretty serious about getting those brown little tasty bits out of there. So, okay, now, there's my pancetta and the meat. Look at that. Okay, and that smells very nice. Well, it's bubbling away here, cooking out the alcohol out of the wine and letting that sink in a little bit. And okay, that's had long enough now, I think, to cook. So let's see here. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So now, in goes the Three Kings. Boom, 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 boom. And that's it for that. We'll turn off that burner. And now, this is just going to sit here. Let the wine cook there a little bit more. It's done enough, but I've got to open up this tomato sauce and put it in there. Okay, what I'm adding now came from my Napolitano friend. It's Knorrs brodo, a delicate brodo. And I don't know why I have a lot of trust there, but I do. And and I'm going to go with the palmy, which also came from a friend. This is not expensive tomato sauce. And I'm using a really wide pan here. I just started out that way. I'm not sure this is the ideal pan to finish this in, but I'll put a little bit of water in here in the bottle to get some more, just get a little bit of water in it. Okay, and I'm a little bit frugal, so when I put my tomato sauce out, I poured a little bit of water in the bottle there, maybe a third, shake it up a little bit, and that gets tomato out of the bottle. I'm going to do that one more time. And it also gets a little bit of water into the pan, and cooking that water off. So it starts out a little bit runnier than you want it to be, not as thick as you want it to be. But in the time it takes to cook off that water, oh, look at that bacon. Oh, the panchetta, it's going to be nice in there. But anyway, I was saying, in the time it takes to cook that water off, that's what that's the time it takes the sauce to thicken. The water goes away, and you get ending up with the fats and the oils, and with all these vegetable and meat tastes having the acidity of the tomatoes and the water. It's kind of more water-based right now, but that's a good solvent for everything to swim in. And all those tastes just swim around in there. And by the time, see, I want this to be a little bit thinner. And it's definitely too big of a pan, so I'm going to have to watch this pretty carefully. Okay, so let's just go ahead and add our more water. It's coming out nice and like water now. Okay, which means I've got all my tomatoes out of this bottle. I got all $1.79 out of it. And it looks kind of runny now, right? So the trick here is going to be, by the time this gets thinned down and has had time to cook, I'm going to have to stir it. And I'm going to cook this with the lid off so that everything, to just let the evaporation and to let the water be converted to steam and go away. And that's what leaves all those tastes in there. And it's just something I try to pay attention to, is to keep the sauce is nice and liquidy at one point, and then just give it time, and that just gives time for diffusion of all these different flavors out into the sauce. So, I don't know how real it is. I haven't studied the chemistry of it. I'm not a chemist. But I think that's basically how it works. And so now I'm going to turn down the temperature just enough to maintain a very low boil. Very low. Okay. And come back and stir a lot. Okay, we're only 2 minutes into it here since I added my last water. And I've got my heat reduced, and the steam is coming off. And it's not a lot of steam, but as it comes off, it'll get thicker and have more of a tendency to burn. I'll be able to neglect it here now for a little bit, but it won't be very long at all until I'm going to have to really stir this continuously just to keep it, thickening up nice and approaching the final consistency. But look at this pancetta here, okay? This is going to be nice, a nice layer in the lasagna. I might even put that on top. Yeah, that's a good idea to cover up some of the other things there. I'm going out to pick some basil because I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's going to have basil and mozzarella and parmigiana and topped with pancetta. And the lasagna is fresh. Oh, I can't wait, but it's going to be hours yet. Okay, this big fan, speaking of fan, this big pan, let me turn off the fan. It might actually end up being a little bit of serendipity here, or providing a little serendipity, because it's a lot of surface area here, so, the water can cook off, the steam can come up. I've only had this in here for, 15 minutes. I'm starting to see a little bit of reduction. It's not getting, quote, thick yet, but it's definitely getting a little bit darker and starting to look more like sauce. Now, this pancetta in here, don't be worried about this. I think this is also going to work out very well. I'm going to put this on the top layer when I put the lasagna together and let it brown up and crisp and, do part of the job of the aluminum foil. Actually, now I'm having an evil thought here about not covering the lasagna pan with the aluminum foil, but that might be a bridge too far. I don't know, we'll see. Make that decision when we get there, just depending on how things look. But you see the sauce is getting a little bit thicker here, which is good. Just get that back down in there. And I like that rubber spatula idea for this. I'm going to get out my rubber spatula. Oh yeah, that gets it down in there good. Okay, so that came off the edge there. This is where I think a flat-sided pan would be good. With this curve, it's a little tricky to get this sauce off the sides here, but not impossible. Yeah, so that's doing okay. All right, let's just give it some time and let it get happy. Okay, Coco, I gotta cut a piece of basil from that pot behind you. Okay, this lasagna is gonna be good, but we're not gonna have it tonight. Here we go. It's got the basil. Just a second here. I'm gonna cut a whole big piece here. It's think that'll be enough? Oh, I think so. It's a pretty good looking basil plant. It's got little pieces here coming up, so if we cut off the top piece, that might help these bottom ones come up better. I'm going to get rid of some of these little ones with imperfections on them. Oh, let's get more basil. No, it's enough. Oh, the smell. Smell this. Beautiful, huh? Oh, okay. This is just one of the most wonderful smells that I can imagine. Maybe second most wonderful. But that's just going to sit there for a while because I've got a little bit of time here left on the sauce. It's coming along pretty well. Cooking down. And it's starting to thicken up a little bit. And what have I done here? I only have about 30 minutes into this sauce. Now, it would take a real serious chemist to figure out what is the correct time to get all these various flavors out of here, because there's thousands of compounds and molecules involved with this. Cooking is just a wonderful thing to make you think about how biological processes work. But anyway, it's off the topic. What I'm going to do here is watch here until we get a little bit thicker. I think another half hour is going to be about right for this. Still a little bit too runny. You know, but let's taste it. Oh, that's good. That is good. How can this go wrong? Well, I'll try. Okay, but back on the basil. Let me turn off this fan here. Boom. Yeah, I'm picking out any leaves that are not just absolutely perfect. This one had a little defect on it. I'm going to wash them again. Nice cold water. Well, this is the crown here of the basil. So, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that. But I think, yeah, basil, mozzarella in there, it cannot be a bad thing. Okay, here's an anticipated step. This is my ricotta. It's fresh ricotta. And it's been in the refrigerator for 2 days while I've been thinking about this lasagna and working on, you know, reviewing some really expert opinions of experienced people. But it, of course, it separated a little bit of liquid, and that's what I just poured in there. And what this means, since I'm getting the ricotta out of the refrigerator, is that the ragu is starting to materialize. It's still a little bit too thin. I think it's got about another 20 minutes to go or so. And in this big pan, my God, it reduced very quickly. And time is important, but how much time? Does it take 3 or 4 hours? Or does it take maybe an hour? You know, these molecules move pretty quickly in the right conditions, in the right solvents and so forth. And the taste is marvelous, absolutely marvelous. I could just eat this with a spoon right now. So, yeah, there's that. Okay, while this video is finished, or the sauce is finishing, let's take a quick look at our pan. We're going to cook this in. Not the perfect pan, maybe, but maybe it is. I don't know. Our ricotta, we saw that just a minute ago. Donna Eleonora. This is really, really excellent pasta. It's very fresh, and yeah, it's good. And the cheese, we've got Parmigiana here. I'm not going to use this piece. I'm going to use this piece, which is the same but a little bit older, and a little bit of Romagno and Pecorino, Scarpalo, and of course, you know, our ricotta. So it's going to have lots of cheese, fresh basil. What could go wrong? We'll see. Okay, it's time to put this lasagna together. So I've got my pan here. It's a clear pan. You'll be able to see it in a minute once I get some stuff in it. I'm going to put a little oil in the bottom and just rub that around a little bit. Just get it up on the sides and coat the pan fairly well. A baking dish. It's not really a pan. Pan's metal. This is glass. I picked that up from Vincenzo. It might be good to watch it. Okay, now some sauce. Wait, I need to stop here a minute. Okay, so I've got, I apologize if there's dishwasher sounds in the background. But just a little sauce in the bottom on top of the oil. And that looked like a pretty good idea. There, just shake it around a little bit. And we've got, the carrots actually look like tomatoes because they've got a lot of red in them now. So now it's the time for the pasta. So let's get this pasta opened up here. And I'm using Donna Eleonora, which is, what is it? It's a fresh pasta you can get. It's a fresh pasta you can get at the store. So, put on a layer of that, and that's a nice thing about this pan. It fits pretty well. Okay, and there's rough edges and smooth edges. They're sticking together a little bit. Okay. Okay. So now goes down a little bit more sauce. Not too much, because I want to get a lot of, leave some room for the cheese. There's going to be lots of that. And the basil. Okay. So let me crumble down a little bit of, just grabbing this out of the pot here. This is fresh ricotta. Okay. I shouldn't do this too quickly. I don't want to make the video too long, but I also want to take my time. I'm going to have to do some compressions here. Spread that around nicely. And then more cheese. So I'm going to take Pecorino Romano. There's my knife here. And grind it on here. Just to get it spread around nicely. Oop, let's pull out the plug. There we go. And I think part of the idea here with this basil was to not getting it spread around very well. There's an art to being good at making these videos, and I am not onto it. It takes time to make things, and you don't want to stretch the video out too long either. Anyway, here goes my Romano, my basil. I'm going to get that out there in a nice layer. That's a nice amount of basil. Okay, and then we're ready for now. Let's put more cheese. Let's go to that. Sort of capture that basil between a couple of layers of cheese. Sounds like a good idea to me. And there's that. Now, another layer then of the pasta. And I'm going to, just for the heck of it, put this in the opposite direction from the first layer. And I'm very lucky here that the pasta really fits this pan nicely. So, there's the next layer of pasta. Now, the next layer of sauce. And this sauce is fantastic. It's really, really good. And this time I want to get it spread around a little bit better than last time. I was a little bit too much of a rush. Please excuse me if I'm taking too much of your attention span here. But some things take time. And this pasta, this layered really nicely is my priority. This is dinner. Tomorrow. I'm going to cook it tonight. speaking of cooking at night, I better turn on the stove here. And just put on manual. Okay, so another layer of sauce. Then let's put on some more. The fresh mozzarella, does it matter? Or the, excuse me, the oh, the fresh mozzarella. I forgot the fresh mozzarella. Just a second, I'll be right back. Okay, the mozzarella. So this is not an exotic mozzarella. It's something you can buy in the store here. I live in Italy, by the way, and right in the middle of Umbria. Wonderful place. And this mozzarella is by a company called Selex, which is a huge company. You know, I don't even know if I don't buy their stuff very often, but you know, it's good. There might be better, I'm sure there are better mozzarella's out there. But this is going to be a mozzarella layer. Since I missed the last layer, I forgot totally about the mozzarella. Now, more cheese, basil. Okay, so this is going to be a nice cheesy layer. I'm going to go ahead and put some more basil down before I put my Parmigiana on here. And the pecorino romano. Well, I don't think this is going to hurt a darn thing. In fact, I think it's going to be very good. So, who knows? And this is where, you know, this is one of those things that there's a lot of divergence here. I'm combining recipes from 3 different sources, maybe 4, I don't know. But here we go with the Parmigiana. I'm trying to cover up my basil. I should have put my basil down in there a little bit more amongst the mozzarella so it would get covered better. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Poke it down in there a little bit. Yeah, and that way, okay, it's hiding in this mozzarella, which it's not going to hide for too long. And then I'm going to go with a little bit more Parmesan on top of that to give it the blanket hit. Capture it in a layer of cheese. Okay, and I apologize again because the precision in laying something like this together, I think is important. But now, for another layer of pasta. And I'm making this, so what do we have here? 3 layers of pasta so far. I don't know why they count up the number of layers, why that's important. But I'm going to sort of mush this down a little bit now. Get things to spread out evenly. So we can get maybe 6 or 7 layers just for the heck of it. Okay, so, you know, and I think this pasta is coated with something. It's got like a white powder on it. And I don't know if that's flour or if that's cheese or what. It might be grated cheese. So this one's going to get 3 spoons of sauce. Let's get it out to the edge there. Nicely. Come on there. Okay. There's my sauce layer. The sauce is excellent, by the way. Okay. And that's good. And just a thin layer of sauce. Now, more ricotta. Ricotta. Should get some out there at the corners a little bit here on this one. I think my corners were a little bit light on the last one. I should break this up into smaller pieces. Getting this whole thing structurally put together is part of it. Okay, so let's get that ricotta broken up a little bit. Okay, pretty good. Now, let's get some basil on there. I'm putting my basil on after the ricotta this time because I learned since the last layer that if I put my basil in here and get it down, pressed in nicely, then when I put my next cheeses on, it's going to cover the basil up better. And one of the guys, I'm going to try to put a link, I hope I remember, in the description below. It's one of the guys Vincenzo reviews. That's where the basil idea came from. And this idea of getting something on top of the basil was, I thought, just made a lot of sense. I'm going to have to wash my hands before I pick up my cheese grater. Okay, you missed a little bit of drama there. My circuit breaker went out. This is Italy, and if you run the oven and the dishwasher at the same time, it could be problematic. So, on goes more Romano, more Parmigiana, and then I'll press these together with another layer of pasta and just keep building this up until it's done. So excuse me for rushing through here a little bit. I just want to keep the dishwasher going and then start up the oven again so we can put this in there. Okay, so that layer of Parmesan is down. Then we'll put in another layer of pasta. And this is actually, I hope this turns out well in the end because I think this is a perfect pan for this. The size that these lasagna noodles are cooked to, or made to, is just perfect. So, now, more sauce. Okay, so I added another layer of sauce. And, oh, I should have picked more basil. But I think it'll be enough. I've got 3 layers with basil. And it's going to be baked down into the lasagna deep. Now, more ricotta. This layer is going to have to be heavy on the ricotta because I'm going to finish this up, I think. It's got a lot of, in here. I could probably put another layer on top of this, but I don't know if it's necessary. Okay. Ricotta spread out nicely there. Yeah, this layer, yeah, it's going to be a good cheesy layer. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, okay. Let's get all of our ricotta out of there. Where we have a little empty spot? Nowhere. Okay. Poke that down into the sauce a little bit there and mush it up and spread it out. Delicious. Okay, there's another layer with pecorino romano, parmigiana, and fresh mozzarella. So we're going to go here now for another layer of the pasta and some more sauce. And let's see. Oh, geez, I've just got just about enough. Oh, yep. And then this pancetta sitting here. Do you see this pancetta here? Swing around in the sauce. That's going to go on top. And I'm hoping that it browns up pretty nicely. In fact, I'm thinking about, you know, I'm confident that if I covered this up with aluminum foil, it would cook well. But I think I can use the pancetta to do that thermodynamic purpose. And if that works, oh, a coup, total coup. They may be talking about this. No, probably not, but I love to experiment. I really do. And, you know, that's how you learn. You have to, you know, make a failure once in a while. Try something you think might work, but it might or might not work. Now this layer, I've run out of basil. I could go out and get some more, but I think we'll be okay. So I'm going to put more cheese on top here. And I think what I'm going to do here is sort of pull off this pancetta and save, well, I got to save a little bit of sauce for on the top. But I like the way this is looking. It's cooked, but it has the consistency of the lasagna noodles. So I think it's going to make its own very nice layer there. And I've just got just about the right amount of it. 6 nice big slices here, if I count it correctly, maybe 7. And over here I've got some enough sauce for the top, enough pancetta for the top. So we're going to do cheese, another layer, and then sauce and pancetta. Okay, so there's that cheese layer I mentioned a minute ago. And then put another layer of the pasta. Okay. And in goes my remaining sauce. A little bit here. Let's get that out to the edges here nicely. Come on there. Come on, go. Out to the edges. Oh, and I've got more. No, I'm going to change here. Mid-plan. Pancetta is ready to go. And I've got what? 2 more pieces. 2 more pieces here. I've got to make another layer, so I'm going to have to. Oh, okay, I've got more mozzarella here. Let's just do that. And then we'll put on another layer of pasta. And then just a pancetta on top, and whatever sauce I can scrape from the pan, which is actually pretty good efficiency, really. So I'm going to use up all my pasta. Okay, let's spread out. That's well enough. Nice cheesy layer. Let's put on some more Romano and then the layer. You know, if I would have grated all this cheese by hand, it would have been a lot of time. So, 2 cents here, a little plug for these electric cheese graters, they're great. Okay, this is the final layer. There's my pasta. And, nice. I think this is actually going to be a good baking pan. Got a little bit of a double layer here in the middle, which I think will be fine. And then on goes this pancetta. And I'm just going to push it out there and kind of hope that it crisps up a little bit there. I should put some cheese on top of that pancetta, shouldn't I? Yes, I know the answer to that is yes. Yeah, this looks nice. It's got little chunks of, celery and onion and carrot on it. It's all coated in the sauce nicely. And what do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. So I'm going to flip this a little bit here. Get things a little bit symmetrical. And not overlap them quite so much. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, okay. So let's scrape this out of here and put it around the edges. And put some more cheese on it, and we're ready to go in the oven. Okay, there it is. All I've got to do is top it with cheese. What do we have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers of pasta. And these little rubber spatulas, fantastic. And the round-sided pan is fine because it helped the sauce cook down very quickly. And that sauce is over the top good. So, a little cheese on the top here, and into the oven we go. As soon as the dishwasher is finished, that's not nearly enough cheese. Okay, now we're ready for the oven. Okay, so there it is. I've got it in here without the aluminum foil, and I'm trying to get that cheese browned and the bacon on top, the pancetta, a little crispy. I don't know if that's going to work out or not, but I'm here at 175 degrees for half an hour, and we're going to find out. Okay, this is coming along. We're about 20 minutes into it. And the cheese on top has not melted quite yet, the Parmigiana. But I do see a little bit of browning on the... See that piece in the back there? So the pasta is starting to get crispy on the corners, which is the best piece. Okay. We got a little bit of time here, and I'm going to wait until that cheese is melted down and crisped up. That's going to be my indicator. Okay. This is 35 minutes in. Oh no, that's still not done. I see a little crispy edge up here. I have to watch I don't touch the wrong thing. That's good. A couple crispy edges. Cheese doesn't look quite ready. A little bit more time. Pazienza, pazienza. Okay. Oh my God, it smells good. I'm seeing a little bit of cheese burning on the top there. Oh, what? We're 40 minutes into this bake. It's not there yet. Okay, this is the beauty of lasagna. It doesn't have to cook for a precise time. And I see some crispy edges up here. They're very nice. And the smell is wonderful. And the cheese isn't as I thought it would be, although I do see some a little bit brown up there. So I'm going to take it out. Okay. I'm just going by the aroma. It's pretty good. The bacon there. Panchetta. Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad. And the cheese on top is crispy. There's definitely some crispiness going on here. Oh, no. Don't take that out of there. This is going to go, it's going to cool a little bit, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. Lasagna. So, this has been in the refrigerator overnight, and I could have browned my cheese a little bit more. We'll see how this comes out. So, that, okay, so far so good. Okay, now, let's make sure I get that cut the whole way down the side. If you can get the first piece out okay, everything else should follow pretty nicely. But this is cold, right out of the refrigerator. Guess I better get a plate or something. Put it on this bowl. And then it's going to be reheated, of course. There we have it. Not too shabby. Not too bad at all. Okay, so this goes back into the refrigerator. And this goes into, I'm lucky enough to have a microwave with a little broiler oven, or a little broiler thing on it. So, lunch is looking good. Okay, look at this lasagna. Now, this is, it's good I reheated it in the bowl. So this started off with a really good ragu of beef, lamb, and pork, ground pork, and I incorporated panchetta into the ragu. So what we get, I ended up here with 6 layers. Oh, Coco, settle down. Hey, shush, I'm trying to talk about this lunch. So, fresh basil in here, and I caramelized the carrots, and lots of cheese, mozzarella, and ricotta, and parmigiana. So, time to have lunch. Okay, so this is my first ever lasagna. Thank you for the basic bolognese, the ragu recipe, Sylvia, and thank you, Vincenzo, and your reviews of Andy's video and one other fella. Between those 4 sources, I made this, and it's my first lasagna ever. But it's pretty good. I can't, I don't have other lasagnas here to compare it to, but fresh pasta, basil was one of the contributions, fresh basil in there. It was my idea to use the pancetta and the lamb because that's what I had in the freezer. I went over to buy ground pork, and I thought I had it in the freezer, ground beef and ground pork. So I just got the ground beef. Came home, no ground pork in the freezer as I thought. Actually, it wasn't ground pork, it was going to be Norcia sausage. But I did have a lamb burger and pancetta. And it made a marvelous lasagna. And I used a suggestion of Vincenzo to have it the next day. I really wanted to cut it last night, but it was getting late. It took a couple hours to make the ragu and get the lasagna together and baked and everything. So it's a pretty big process. But it makes enough lasagna for, I don't know how many meals, maybe 9 meals. It's a square pan, cut 3 pieces. So it's worth the time, and it's certainly worth the the pleasure of it. Here's one of those little crispy noodles. Another Vincenzo edition. Those crispy ones around the edges are great. I always like in lasagna the pieces in the corner because they tend to get burnt a little bit more. If anything's going to be like a little bit burnt, those are the pieces. The piece that comes out of the very center of the pan, they look perfect, but the only thing that's burnt is the cheese on the top maybe. And so this is a kind of an interesting bite here because on the top layer, I ended up here layering this up with the lasagna noodles, and I had just enough room at the top of the pan. The way I cooked my pancetta, you'll see, I left it in whole strips. So I put sort of a layer of pancetta on the top. That's these. Wait a minute, I'm going to eat this bite. That's good. See, this is a piece of pancetta, which is, bacon in Italy. All right. Bon appetit.